Hello, YouTube viewers. I am Lourdes Wright, and I am back after my second video in which I promised to you that I was going to give you a list of the things that I began to do back in the year 2001 when I was diagnosed with complex PTSD to get rid of those symptoms. Here I am in the year 2023, free of those symptoms. I am not saying that you will not have bad days. We all have bad days. Whether you suffer with CPTSD or not, there are bad days, there are good days. But I promise you that if you do the things that I am about to discuss with you of my list, you will be way better off than where you are today. That I promise. But you're also going to have some bad days. You have to remember that. Okay, before I tell you the list of things that I did and that I still do every day to stay healthy, especially of the mind, I will tell you about the list of things that I used to feel the symptoms back in the year 2001 all the way through, I would say, 2004, 2003. Pretty much, it's going to take some time for you to work on your CPTSD. Do not expect miracles. Do not expect to not have bad days. And above all, do not expect immediate results. That is an impossibility, honestly. Okay, so here we go. I had trigeminal neuralgia. I had backache, eczema, headaches and migraines with floaters, stomach distress, vertigo, brain fog, nightmares and flashbacks, panic disorder, anxiety and depression, nervousness, body neuralgias. I had selective mutism, body paralysis, endometriosis, which, by the way, if you were abused as a child, you are 80% more at risk of developing severe problems with your endometriosis or having a serious problem called endometriosis. And if you are diagnosed with endometriosis, you need immediate care. I had fatigue, I had TMJ, insomnia, and that is just a partial list. I only have so much time on these videos, so it's next to impossible for me to really delineate everything that was going on back then. But needless to say, it was a pretty miserable existence. Yet I didn't give up, and one thing I never did was to use alcohol, illicit drugs, or even medication for that matter. When it comes to illicit drugs and alcohol, they will only make your problem worse. Medications, I have mixed feelings about it. I think that medications for some people work temporarily, but I don't think that it's anything on which you should be relying. I think they make you sleepy. They are going to put you to sleep, but they will not get rid of CPTSD at all. When you wake up from your nap, you're still going to have CPTSD. Medication is very expensive. You can get hooked on it depending on the kind of medicine it is. But above all, you really are yielding control to the medical doctor. And I am proactive. I would like to think that if I have some ailment, disease, any condition or illness, I would like to think that I control the outcome and the process. When you're on medication, there's only so much you can control. Really, the doctor is in control, and I don't like that. So I do not encourage medication, but that's really a personal decision. Okay, having said that, here we go. These are the things that I did, and I cannot go into details with each and every one of them. So I'll tell you what you can do. But basically, I used to, number one, journal. There's something to be said about writing down what you're feeling, what's going on, what's happening during the daytime. I think it's a good idea to write it down. When you write things down, and hopefully it is a private little notebook or diary that you keep away from others, you know, you really are talking to somebody who's going to keep everything very confidential. That somebody being your journal. You almost have to treat it as a person, as a therapist. The better thing is that you're not paying for therapy. You're just sitting there with a pen or pencil and you are writing down, jotting down your thoughts. Maybe you had a bad day, something happened in specific, you want to write it down. But I'll tell you one thing. I used to journal, okay? And about 5 years ago, I found that little journal because I was moving to another home. And I found my little journal, and I promise you, when I went through that journal and I saw everything that I had written down, I could not identify any longer with the things that I had written down. Why? Because I didn't have those symptoms anymore. I wasn't feeling like that anymore. That's about 5 years ago. So it's a progressive thing. It's a long process. You have to be patient. Journaling is really good. Good idea. Another thing I did was running. I began to run. And when you run, you get what is called the runner's high. And instead of my going into details, because this video would be way too long, I decided to mention that if you go to Amazon, you're going to find under my name, Lourdes Wright, W-R-I-G-H-T, as an author, you're going to find 7 books that I've already written. They are accessible to you, and it's a good idea to pick them up because I really go into details as to how running, more than anything else, more than lifting weights, more than anything else, how running really benefits your brain and therefore your CPTSD. I promise you. One of my favorite books, and I apologize about the stickies. This is one of my books. It is called Put the Donuts Down, and it is for, I don't know if you can see there. Okay. So basically it's fitness and exercise for women over 55. And I really go again into detail about the benefit of running, walking, exercising. That would be number 3. Exercising, and that goes for anaerobics and aerobic. Anaerobic is going to be that weightlifting. You pretty much are in one place. The aerobic, as you know, probably is jumping jacks, running, using a stationary bicycle, etc. So that would be number 3, exercise. Number 2, running. Number 1, journal. And if you pick up my books again on Amazon, I go through painstaking details to let you know that running and exercising are gold if you're suffering with CPTSD. Number 4, nutrition. You are going to have to make adjustments. For instance, if you're suffering with anxiety or stress, of course you have to decrease your caffeine intake. I love coffee. I used to go to New Orleans just to have Café du Monde. I am a heavy coffee drinker, and I had to change that. I am down to 1.5 in the morning. When I wake up, I have 1.5 cups of coffee, and that's that. I want to drink coffee all day long. However, if you are having stress or anxiety, the jitters, coffee is not a good thing. Not too much of it anyhow. A little bit is good, but not much of it. Do not make that mistake. You will need to consume less caffeine, or anything with caffeine for that matter. Some teas, some soda drinks. So you really have to be careful about what you're putting in your body. Also, a good diet, less in fat, less in carbohydrates, will really benefit you if you're suffering with symptoms of CPTSD or PTSD for that matter. And again, this is all really spelled out and explained in my books, especially the first two, CPTSD 1, CPTSD 2, and the one, put the donuts down, that I just showed you. So, number 5, and this is very important, detoxing from toxic people. You have to learn to recognize who is your friend, who is not your friend. If you know people who are passive aggressive, they triangulate, they gaslight you, you really do need to stay away from those people. Nothing good will come out of it, especially if you are being scapegoated. And scapegoating is a very, to me, liberal term. Typically, those who scapegoat others were scapegoated themselves. It's kind of like the bully. Those who become bullies were bullied themselves. What came first, the chicken or the egg, right? You were a bully, now you're being bullied, or you were bullied and that's why now you're a bully. Well, the same thing with this dysfunctional personality thing. If you find that you are surrounding yourself with people who are not authentic, they play mind games, they gaslight you, you don't feel secure or safe around them, you're not comfortable, something is off, you don't feel like you can be you, then it's time to detox from those toxic people. Believe you me, you will rest much, much better. Number 6, therapy. Why do I like therapy? Because therapists will not medicate you. They cannot prescribe medicines, yet they are very good listeners, and that by law, actually, they have to keep your secrets unless those secrets are about your hurting potentially somebody else in the future or yourself. Then by law, your therapist has the obligation to tell the authorities. But if you are seeing a therapist, pretty much everything else has to be kept confidential. The best part, as I said, is she cannot medicate you. She will not prescribe drugs. She's just there to listen. I think it's a wonderful thing. I am pro therapy, but I am not pro seeing a psychiatrist, because psychiatrists love to medicate. Okay, so number 7, reading. I was doing a ton of reading. I think I was reading one book every 2 or 3 weeks. I would go to Books A Million or Barnes and Noble, and I wouldn't pick up 1 or 2 books. I would pick up 3 books at a time. And as soon as I finished those 3 books, which I used to read simultaneously, I would go back and pick up 3 more. Sometimes I would sit there at a little table with my cup of coffee, reading a book. And as soon as I was half away, I would just get up after having paid for it, of course, and I would bring it home and I would continue reading it. There's something about CPTSD, and I think it's because you are looking for answers. You are so desperate looking for a cure for CPTSD that you are willing to just devour every piece of information out there. So I ended up reading about anatomy, the brain, the body, fitness, everything else. I mean, I was just reading, and believe you me, it's a good way of spending time, and it's going to be a distraction from your intrusive, compulsive thoughts. Okay, number 8. You have to make it a point to sleep better. You will find that if you sleep 8 hours or more, you're going to be productive, efficient, better functioning the next day. If you're sleeping 6 hours, 5.5, or if your sleep is very choppy, chances are your nervousness, your anxiety will go up, not down. Possibly depression also. Sleepiness is so important. And again, because of the length of this video, I am unable to go into details, but please pick up one of my many books on Amazon, and I really go into details as to the importance of adding a good night's rest to your new repertoire. Number 9. I actually mentioned that one, which was the decrease of the caffeine intake. You have to be careful because even chocolates have caffeine. So you do have to watch that. Number 10, I was never big on alcohol. I am one of those people who are more or less social drinkers. Every week I might have half a bottle of beer I share with my husband one afternoon when we're watching a movie or being silly around the house. But other than that, I was never a heavy drinker. I do not recommend it. It'll really make your CPTSD worse. Not better, but worse. And if you think that you are numbing your pain through alcohol, think again. It's not true. When you come to from your alcohol-induced nap, if that's what you want to call it, you will see that the CPTSD is still there, only worse. You're possibly going to be suffering from depression if you continue to use alcohol to numb your pain. It doesn't work, and it's going to make your CPTSD worse. In addition, you cannot drive and do a lot of things if you've been drinking. Number 11. You notice right now, I am outdoors, I am in the sun, it is glorious. And I'm saying, not only is it rich in vitamin D, it'll give you a nice dosage of vitamin D, but in addition to that, is doing something for your benefit, for your welfare, for your brain, for your body. Again, I go into great details with this in my books. Number 11, I began to do a lot of painting. I've always done art and I love painting. I have easels and brushes and paint in a massive amount around the house. And so what I suggest is find that something that gives you pleasure and that feels therapeutic to you. In my case, I always played clarinet, I play piano, I do my artwork, I love baking cakes, and my husband loves eating them. But you have to find something that really brings you pleasure and that is paced, nothing that is rushed. You don't want to probably engage in an activity that requires, no. This is about you're enjoying the process, relaxing, something that becomes natural to you and that almost feels therapeutic. For me, painting was a huge part of my recovery. You just have to find yours. For now, I am going to have to say again goodbye just for now. I am bringing back another video for CPTSD, but just remember, the world is a better place because you are in it.